Hello everyone, and welcome to another entry in the Hyrule Compendium. Recently, with the announcement of the new Nintendo 64 games coming to Switch Online, we've had a lot of comments just saying, I'm excited to play these games again on my Switch, but we had someone ask us, commenter Radiant Noir said, do these versions of these games still hold up today?
I've been thinking about this, and I think it really depends on your history with the game.
That was my thoughts exactly. Because I think there's two questions really: is do they hold up, and is this worth getting?
Right.
They're kind of separate, kind of combined, and it depends on if you played the original, if you played the original then the remake, if you've only played the remake,
Right.
What consoles do you own it on? It's going to be different for everyone, obviously.
Yeah, I feel that somebody like me who played the original and then 12 years later played the 3DS versions, specifically Ocarina of Time, and that is the only version I've played the last 10 years, and I've played it probably half a dozen times. And to me, that's the version I want to play. I don't want to go back. The idea of playing going to the menu for the Iron Boots 75 times seems...
I also think it's different depending on the game a little bit. I know you have that with Ocarina of Time. That's the only thing about Ocarina of Time to me that really sticks out as something of thinking back or thinking about playing it again is I don't really want to do that. But otherwise, I think that game is mostly held up.
Yes.
It's got older visuals compared to the remake, but I've seen them running and played them running on the Wii U, and it looks good.
Yep.
It's not unplayable, it's just maybe you don't like the older visuals. Yeah. Which might turn off, going back to, who's playing. That might turn off newer people. Some people might just be like, I don't really like how this looks. I can't get into it.
People who have never played Ocarina of Time? The 6 people in the world?
Okay. Yeah, I know that's not a lot of people, but I could see some people being this looks old,
I can imagine there's a lot of people that played Breath of the Wild as their first Zelda game, with the crazy amount of copies of that game sold, that now they're just experiencing Zelda games for the first time, so they're picking up the stuff on the Switch. Maybe they picked up Skyward Sword, and now they're like, oh, we can play these old N64 games now. Let me see how these are. I don't know.
And that's true, and I think that depends on where they went, because there was Link's Awakening, there was Skyward Sword. We talked about how would Skyward Sword even be a good follow-up game for someone who was really liked Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
And I think
I don't know if we know that answer yet.
I don't know. If you're new to the series and only played Breath of the Wild and then played Skyward Sword, let us know. But I think a game like Link's Awakening might have been a good follow-up, just as it's totally different. Here's something small scale, something novel and nice. And I think Ocarina of Time could have that factor too. I don't think it's too... We've talked about how good the opening is. It's not like Breath of the Wild necessarily, but I think it's not so constraining.
No, it's close to Breath of the Wild, I think.
In a way.
Kokiri Forest is a much, much, much smaller Great Plateau.
It's like if the Great Plateau was a town.
Yeah. I also think, I think there are probably a lot of Zelda fans, probably our age or whatnot, who played Ocarina of Time, but then never... there was a lot of people that just never were handheld people. And maybe or they had one, but they never really played it.
Oh, sure.
So maybe they never even experienced Ocarina of Time 3D, or they might have played it once and they're like, I prefer to play it on my big TV.
There's plenty of people that I've seen amongst our staff and elsewhere who stuck to maybe playing Collector's Edition or the emulators on their Wii or Wii U or whatever. And it's because of that. I like playing on my TV, this big game, and so this is probably satisfactory for them.
To them, there is no alternate version almost. It's that's the Ocarina I know, and I'm sure it'll be, it's with HDMI output now, so it'll be a little bit more polished looking than.
And I'm kind of a proponent of, with remakes and stuff, that the original game still exists somewhere, even if it's like Ocarina, where I don't think it's a huge change. I always think it's nice to have that, whether it's for... I think if they brought 3D to console, most people wouldn't go back, but, say someone wants to play that because they either prefer it for some reason or just for historical record, almost to see where, how was this game before, you know?
Yeah, and I also kind of think like Ocarina of Time 3D. I mean, it was a visual like upgrade. Resolution I think is the same, but just the tech in there makes it look better. But and you know, there's some quality of life, but it's not like it wasn't a total like reinvention of the game.
To me, at least from what I can recall, it like feels the same.
Yes, right.
I've only played the original version a handful of times since the newer one came out, but it's still, to me, it always felt the same.
Right. Yeah. Like this isn't like Link's Awakening or even outside the realm of Zelda, like Resident Evil 2 or something.
Right.
Like they didn't. You know,
they didn't rethink it totally.
It's still the same game at the end of the day.
They're gonna bring Majora's Mask to this also, which is significantly different. And we've done videos on how we really liked a lot of the changes. There's some that I don't like as much, but there are contingencies of people who hate it. And I think it's good to have both versions around, or, you know, maybe I don't know, maybe eventually they could even keep some of the things that people really liked while keeping some of those good quality of life changes. But either way, I'm a proponent of both versions existing.
Right. I imagine too that they probably at some point were like thinking, I wonder if they were thinking like, okay, can we get Ocarina of Time 3D on the Switch?
Yeah.
And is it easy? Can we just do it? And maybe they just determined this is too hard.
I don't know. Or are they going to do it anyway still?
Or it's just too much work?
I don't know. I'd be curious. I think there might even be a chance it still happens.
Okay.
And it's just like, you know, you've got this service with other... I mean, they released Mario 64 as part of that collection. Mm-hmm. Limited time, and then look, now here it comes again on the service, you know. So I don't think one thing precludes them necessarily from doing the other. Granted, that one wasn't a full like remake.
Yeah,
they didn't really change much, but just saying, like, I don't think it would prevent them from releasing like an actual purchasable game that's a different version, you know.
Right. I just wonder if it's like, is it just easy to bring N64 games over, as opposed to maybe harder to bring 3DS games over? I don't know. I'd be curious. Emulator, the tech stuff of it.
They've brought over some 3DS games, right?
Not as like
there's like, or is it? I don't know actually.
Did they just like port some games?
Yeah.
I feel like there were some Wii U games that became 3DS games that are now Switch games. Like
I see.
Like those, like isn't like Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze one of those games?
Yeah, but it was probably a Wii U. Was that the Wii U version? I don't know. How hard could it be, though?
Was that a 3DS game? Actually, I don't think that was a 3DS game. I think the previous... Whatever. I'm sure there were some 3DS games that are not Wii
We don't know
games.
what we're talking about with this.
No. Yes.
I don't know. I'm a fan of the both versions existing, though. I don't necessarily think the best way to keep around, like my idea of, like, having the old version of historical record is in, like, a streaming service that could, you know... that won't maybe not carry over to the next console, or, you know, it's like finite, it's limited, you know.
So at the end of the day, do you think you will play these games?
For me, no. It depends. It really depends on the circumstance of like why I would need to do it. You know what I mean? But it's similar to what I said about Skyward Sword. Like, I played it back in February on the Wii, and then they announced the new version. I didn't really feel like playing it, or I didn't need to play it again because it was so recent. But someday, if I want to play it again, I'll probably pick up that version. But these, it's like, I mean, I'll probably still be playing the 3DS version because I'm trying to think of when it would. It just depends on my own personal necessity. Like, what we'll maybe play it at a marathon again, and we'll probably play the 3DS version, I would imagine, unless it becomes more convenient. But then, yeah, no. Otherwise, I don't know. I actually have both of those on N64 cartridges,
right?
So I don't know if I guess it won't look as good. But
there's a convenience factor of just playing on the one console that's hooked up.
Yeah. Like, it was useful when I was doing you know, A Link to the Past for videos and stuff like that. It's like, it's on my Switch, you know, that's convenient. But it's weird to be like, think of like the convenience factor of playing a version of the game that I don't need to play.
Yeah.
So for me, it's not convenient, you know.
I recently, you made a reference to Super Mario 64, and I've been playing that on the Switch.
Oh, okay.
Because I picked up the Mario All Stars, and that's a game that I have N64 copies probably somewhere back here. But like the concept of actually hooking up my N64 to my TV, and it would probably look like it wouldn't look very good. And like I hadn't played that game in so long, so it's like, okay, this is convenient. I'll just get the cartridge and get it. And this would be even more convenient because it's just, let me just download it, or it's like it'll be like the Super Nintendo like virtual console thing they have. That's just you just load it up and start playing.
Yeah.
Not even a cartridge. I guess the only hurdle would be you have to buy the subscription.
Yeah.
We don't know how much
it's
more
gonna be more. Yeah.
Regular Nintendo Online is $20 a year.
Yeah.
Which is pretty dirt cheap, really.
Yeah.
And so I assume this is gonna be like $50 a year or something.
Yeah, and it comes with the Genesis stuff as well. But then they're also selling those controllers that are like $50.
They're $50. I saw the controllers.
I think
didn't
they're
know the
50.
price.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. I got about 11 N64. I think I can see one right now in that closet.
Yeah, I've got 4 myself, but these are obviously to work on the Switch, and I don't know. I guess I can imagine a household that and where this is affordable. Also, that's a factor. Where they want to kind of get they don't have their N64 stuff, but they kind of want to relive that nostalgia, and to them, this could be a good package. Like buy some of these controllers, but it is a little expensive. Not the service so much, but if you want to get those controllers and everything,
it's probably not that expensive in the grand scheme. Like when people have gotten so used to just paying for, I got like 25 different services right now, probably between my Google Music and my Peacock and Netflix and my Comcast. Like it's like, it's gonna be $50 a year, what, $5 a month, $4 a month, like. Oh well.
Oh, I was factoring in the like you want to get that authentic experience to get the controller.
Let's get 3 of these. Yeah.
Yeah. I found an old TV back at my parents' house, and I kind of have this vision of eventually having a setup at a place that has that with my N64, because I have almost every N64 game you could want on there. So if I feel like if I do want that authentic experience to go back to play the original Ocarina of Time, I want it to be on like a CRT TV.
Old tube TV? Okay.
Yeah. So I feel like this doesn't fully work for me, but playing online could be fun.
At the end of the day, though, I think it's probably a decent price. The Zelda stuff is probably not a draw for me at all.
Yeah.
I will never play these versions. I can never foresee myself doing that. But I think there's probably other things that are better selling points. The idea of playing online Mario Kart with friends.
That was the first, because that was kind of when I first saw it, and I was like, it's gonna be more. I was like, okay, it's kind of lame. Like it's none of these games. I'm like, there's probably better ways for me to play them, I guess. But then when it was like play online, that's a game changer. Yeah.
I wonder like how much of the game they're gonna rework to include that.
I would imagine there will be like hopefully Mario Kart, Mario Party. Smash eventually. I don't know if that's one of the announced games, but eventually.
GoldenEye.
Yeah, it's only it's a small handful of games, but there's probably a million different perspectives that someone could have coming into this. So, leave us a comment about like where you are in your journey through the Legend of Zelda series, and if these work for you. Otherwise, leave us a comment of other topics too you'd like us to cover. We got some good suggestions lately. So, and yeah, thanks for watching.